Welcome to Accelerate Your Wealth, a podcast by Rebecca Robertson, founder and director of Evolution Financial Planning. This series, we're focusing on female financial independence, looking towards a stronger financial future. Be sure to let us know your thoughts on the show, and please do connect with us on Facebook, LinkedIn or Instagram, or head over to www.rebeccarobertson.co.uk.
So welcome to today's session. I'm live in my Facebook group and I'm recording this for my podcast. So this is week 2 of the money detox or the financial detox. And today I'm recording this on the 12th of September. And I want to be very mindful today because the Queen of England died on Thursday. So this is Monday. So just a few days ago. And I know it's affected a lot of people in ways that they never expected, whether you're a royalist or not. They have been, and I myself personally was on Friday, just found myself really tearful. And I think it was partially down to, there was some sort of connection with my nan. My nan brought me up. And I just, really, really shook me. Saturday, I was quite tired still from all of that. And yesterday I had a bit of a barbecue around a friend's house for a kids' party, and that sort of cheered me up a little bit. Today I'm avoiding social media flicking and the news because I just know that personally I need to step away from that noise and get my head right before I start getting too much into it. So I'm feeling a lot better today. Just a little bit out of sorts with my tech this morning, trying to get it all working and correct. So can I just check, haven't I suggested it's Mercury retrograde? Maybe I always blame Mercury retrograde. I don't know anything about it, I understand what it is, but it sounds really good for me, so I just think yes, I will blame the Mercury retrograde. I think it was just the emotions of everything, the shock of I just don't know why, but I just personally felt that she would live forever. Even when I saw pictures of her looking really frail on Wednesday, I thought, oh, she's fine, she's the queen, like she has everyone looking after her, she hasn't got she's got things to do, don't get me wrong, but you know, her every need is required, the best doctors in the country kind of thing. So I just think, oh, she'd never die. So it's quite a shock, and it's been lovely watching some people's responses to the Queen dying on the news, and the people that have travelled miles to say that pay their respects, and then other people who have seen it as an opportunity to moan about whatever they want to moan about, which I just don't get into that kind of thing. I just believe in putting positive energy out there, and you know, just sending everyone lots of love, whoever needs it, based on, you know, however they're feeling right now. So welcome to those that are watching, morning. Those that are listening back on the replay, give me a hashtag replay. Those that are listening to this in my podcast, which is like going to be a week delay, I hope you enjoy this session today. Now, you need to listen to week 1 for some of you. Some of you can dive straight into week 2. But week 1, we talked a little bit more about some psychology around managing your money mindset. So I think that's important for everybody, because there's things and issues that can come up for you, especially now, especially if you're feeling a little bit sort of more sensitive or a little bit more self-aware, a little bit more conscious of things. Then it's a really important time. Equally, that means you're going to have more triggers in your money situation. So last week in week 1, we talked about the best way to start to detox is to basically not buy anything, in a nutshell. Write down what you were going to buy, don't buy it, and at the end of the week or the end of the month, if you can manage that long, you then go and buy it if you need it or you want it, or actually if there's a purpose to it. So for me at the weekend, both my horses needed their feet shoeing. I had no choice in that. It can affect their muscles, it can affect their gait as they're walking, it can badly affect them. They can't even walk. If a horse can't walk, it will lay down, and if they don't keep moving and keep grazing, then it can cause serious illness problems. So I have to have their feet done. That is a demand, a need. So that was £90 on shoes. So there's certain things that I didn't need to buy. I did buy myself a new top in a shop. Really naughty. I didn't necessarily need that, but when I look at my wardrobe at the moment, I don't actually have many winter clothes. I don't know about you, but over lockdown I just didn't buy an awful lot of clothes because I was just on Zoom and I wasn't really going out as much. So now I'm sort of thinking, okay, I need to plan for that. I need to be putting some money aside for that, and maybe go and do a little bit of a shop. I don't tend to do shopping every month. I get bored of shopping. And my daughter as well. And I looked at her wardrobe. We went through all her clothes a couple of weeks ago, and she literally doesn't fit anything from last year. So again, like, clothes are on. I can see that on my agenda. So although I didn't need it, I was a bit naughty for buying it. But I'm a bit fussy with clothes, and I tend to not like anything in the shop. So if I do see something I like, which doesn't happen very often, I do tend to buy it, because I am really fussy with clothes and what I wear. So that was me naughty over the weekend. So some good but need things that are needed, and some things that I could have probably forgo if I was a little bit more stringent. But I think because I was feeling a little bit sensitive, I wanted a little bit of a pick me up, and that's a tendency. That's an old tendency of mine. I got into a lot of debt when I was 21, and it was all about buying clothes. That's a whole other story, which you can read in my book, actually, if you're really interested, if you haven't got it. And you can get that on Amazon, 10 Ways to Accelerate Your Wealth. And it did cheer me up, because then yesterday when I went to that barbecue, it was a friend's barbecue, my husband had bought me, it was my wedding anniversary, and he bought me a new pair of trainers. Because the trainers I was wearing, one of the feet was like wonky, and it was meaning that it affects my posture and my back and everything else. And so he bought me a new pair of trainers. I have them on now. Shall I show you? I can't move because the dogs are all in my office, and if I move, then they're old and frail, and they're arguing about who's sitting closest to me. So I won't show you, but they're really nice Nike Air Max things, which my feet feel like they're on, like literally on bubbles, which is lovely. And I wore my new top, so like that feels really great. And I don't see the harm in like cheering yourself up when you feel like it. It's just recognizing that you're not doing that every day or every month, or you're bored and you're just spending pointlessly. But again, it does bring us back to the fact that when we're feeling sensitive, we can then feel triggered, and then how we react to it. So we might emotionally eat, we might spend, we might treat loads of people, we might do it in different ways. And it's part of this process is just recognizing, becoming more conscious of it, so that you can make better decisions that are right for you. So I hope that helps. So morning, thank you for those that are watching. I love it. There's not one person watching. I'm happy, because then I'm not on my own. So hopefully you've watched last week. If you haven't, I've just done a little summary, but it's worth you going back and listening to that. It's going to be out on my podcast today. So that week one will be out on my podcast today. So if you subscribe to my podcast, you'll get a notification. If you don't subscribe to my podcast, go and subscribe. And I also have the videos uploaded to YouTube, so you can see them all in one place. Although they're going to be left in here until the end of the month, so you don't have to worry at the moment. Just pick and choose how you want to absorb it. Okay, so moving on to this week. So this week, by the way, actually, before I forget, so next week we're due to do it on Monday morning. Obviously, I won't be doing it on Monday morning. It's a bank holiday now, and it's the Queen's funeral. I don't want to be talking about this stuff on that day. I'll probably go and visit my grandparents' grave or something like that. It just going to bring up loads of emotions, right? So I won't be doing it that day. I'll be no good to you, I don't think. So I'm probably going to be doing it on the Tuesday. So I haven't checked my diary yet. I have to have a look to see what I've got booked in, but otherwise I'll be doing it on the Tuesday. So for today, this week being week 2, it's all about, I'm going to talk to you about budgeting and fixed outgoings, and what I sort of call essential outgoings. So we talked a little bit last week about the sporadic spending and sort of their mindset around what we're buying over and above, which is essential and non-essential spending, and it's deciding whether that spending is essential and non-essential. Ria's just popped up on the chat and she's saying, I did well last week with only spending on what was important. I even went as far as having a full financial meeting with my husband, well done, on how to save, forward planning and budgeting. Well done. Super impressed with you. That's amazing. I'd love to have like a bit of a running total to see how everyone's doing, like how much you've saved or how much debt you've cleared, or like some figures that we could measure. I should really sort of have a running total somewhere about how everyone's getting up to. So if you've been doing this so far, please comment. If you're obviously on my Facebook group, please comment on in the chat, or comment on this video and let me know. If you're on YouTube, I do see them. If you email me, I do read them. Equally, I'd love to know what you've done. Maybe by the end of the month, if there's like a running total or something, that'd be great. How much you've saved or how much debt you've cleared, that'd be amazing. Okay, so got distracted by a comment. It's back to what I was saying. Okay, so last week we talked about general spending, which is class is like essential or non-essential spending, and it's then if you need it or you want it. So what we're going to talk about this week is your other spending and what you can do to help manage that. So if you want a copy of my budget planner, just email me, budget planner please, or if you're on YouTube and this is uploaded, comment, email me, Rebecca at rebeccarobertson.co.uk, and say budget planner please. If you're on YouTube and you haven't got a spreadsheet and you want a budget planner, just comment with your email address or DM me or email me. Actually, no, just email me. I think it'd be easier to manage it that way rather than the comment. You can put in the comment going to email you so I can know to watch out for it. But email me and then I can email you over. I might even try and upload it actually into the units of this group. So I might end up doing that if I get a chance today. Otherwise, email me, Rebecca at rebeccarobertson.co.uk, budget planner, please. And I will send you a copy of my budget planner. What you do with the budget planner, maybe I'll just show you, but it's difficult because I'm doing this for my podcast as well. I try not to share screens. You can use your own budget planner. You can use a spreadsheet how you want. It could just be a plain piece of paper. You don't have to use a spreadsheet. You've also got my planner, which is available on Amazon. I can't really move. No, I can't reach it. Oh, hang on. I might be able to get this one. Hang on. I can't move the chair. Otherwise, I will upset the dog. She's very old now. That will be like more than the Queen dying for me, just to warn everybody when that day comes. Can't think about it right now because I just burst into tears. So this is it's a bit scruffy. It's the only one I could get hold of on my desk. So this is my planner. So if you prefer not to do a spreadsheet and you prefer paper, then I have this here, which is available on Amazon. I think it's like 28 quid or something. It's a bit expensive because it does have free training with it, and it literally is a whole year planner. But what I'm going to share with you today is some of the key elements that are in this, which you can just do yourself with a piece of paper. So you can do this for personal and for business. So it's up to you how you want to do it. And the first thing to do is to literally list all your outgoings. As here it's got the provider and here it's got the review date. And you list out all the different outgoings. So this gives you an example. It's got gas, electric, water, landline, broadband, internet, car insurance, road tax, mortgage, life insurance, endowments, ASU, which is accident, sickness and unemployment. So if you have like a sickness cover of some kind or unemployment cover, health insurance, buildings insurance, contents insurance, pension, loans, mobile phone, TV package, pet insurance, glasses, contacts, gym, car repairs, overdraft charges, credit cards, childcare costs. So they're sort of like what I class as your fixed outgoings. They're the things that you just know are going to go out each month, either on standing order or they're going to go out by direct debit. Now, the reason I do it like this with a review date is because then I make a note in my diary as to when I should be reviewing it and also when it's due to be renewed. So then I have a note in my diary to say, okay, the car tax is due, or I generally life insurance and things like that, I would still look at it once a year. Pensions, the same. Pet insurance, they do that automatically because they're annually renewable, similar to car insurance and buildings and contents insurance. And you basically have it then organised all in one place, and you don't then get those random emails where you're sitting there having a coffee, trying to chill out and get 2 minutes peace, and you're like, oh bugger, I need to sort out the car insurance, and you end up not actually doing anything with it. So this first exercise is just writing down all the outgoings. And then the next exercise, and then with that, you write the date down that you think they're renewable, which for some of you, if you've never done that, that might be, a 20-minute, half an hour job in itself, because you might have to log into things and that kind of stuff. The next job is then the budget planner, which if you want my budget planner, I'm happy to share my spreadsheet. Otherwise, this again on my budget planner, which is if you prefer paper, this one has like here, so you can write them down. Depends on how much space you need in terms of outgoings. You might want to roll some things. So it's got like food shop, which are just like, are going out each month, but they're not necessarily a direct debit. You haven't got a review date, but you would list everything on here. So this is why sometimes people do it on a separate sheet of paper potentially, and you can list out everything, or you might say like do them on a spreadsheet that adds it all up for you, and then you've got like maybe like total fixed outgoings, and you can start to segregate things into sections. But basically then what it does is it then gives you a total at the bottom, so you know exactly what's going out. And then what you do is at the end of the month, so in 3 or 4 weeks time, you compare the costs of actually what you budgeted to what you actually spent. So food shop is a good example. So the budget was 80 and we spent 120, as an example on here. So the spreadsheet, what you're basically doing is you're going to list everything out, or if you're doing it on paper, that's fine. You'd list everything out so you can see exactly all those things, the mortgage, the car insurance, everything. And then other things that you budget for. So what I would call essential spending. So we know it's not necessarily fixed each month. We know we need to buy food. I know that the farrier's coming for my horse's shoes, that kind of stuff. And you would list it all out as the outgoings. And sometimes that in itself can be quite scary. Now, people that are self-employed, this is where they start to don't know what's coming in each month, and you end up robbing Peter to pay Paul, and you end up like, and I've been there, like I totally get why we're in those situations. And it's very easy to say, I'll just get ahead, try and get ahead. But where you can make small steps to get ahead, that is the best place to be, in terms of either putting a little bit aside when you have spare, and not just spending it, so that you can start to get into a rhythm. So i.e. you have your income coming to one bank account, you pay yourself like an equivalent salary, and then you have your outgoings, personal outgoings, through another account. And you can do this process that I'm describing for business outgoings as well. If you're a limited company, people tend to have a fixed amount they pay themselves, either salary and or dividends, which is what I do. And then to my personal outgoings are, I have to keep within that budget. My bad habit is where I overspend a little bit, normally on horsey stuff, and then I have to dip into the business, and I shouldn't be doing that. And I've been caught out a few times by doing that. Being completely transparent, I make mistakes as well, but I know when I sometimes we know when we're doing them, and we just do it anyway, because we understand the consequences and how we can fix it if it became a problem. It doesn't normally become a problem, but we all have bad habits, and it's just being more conscious of them and knowing how we can not set ourselves up for failure. So by then having the list of all the outgoings, you've got a clear idea of what you've got going out. Now, why is that relevant? Well, you might be in the middle of the month like we are now. You might have already got paid 2 weeks ago, for example. But for me, what I then do is that I then keep a running total, especially on my business, but also on my personal, so I can see what I've got left spare. So some people put all their money into one bank account, and then they don't separate it out. So I separate my money for like my fixed outgoings kind of stuff. And then I pay myself like a spending money budget, if you like. And so I know that what's in that pot is what I've got left to spend. But I keep an eye on my bank account to make sure that the direct debits are correct each month. And I just check it once a week. I go in, I check my spreadsheet against what's gone out. And I do that in my business as well. So I can actually see, okay, this is what I'm expected to go out. This is what cash flow I need in this month. and this is what I know is going out, and this is how I'm going to get paid it, so I can manage my cash flow in the business. Now, some people that run businesses get large lump sums. Maybe they've got a contract or they've done a big launch, but not everybody runs their business like that. If you do, you end up having a large lump sum in the business, and then you don't actually know when that would run out or how long it's going to last for. So this process I'm describing helps with that. And then also, if you are living, like you've got a couple of months backup, but you're otherwise sort of living cash flow to cash flow month by month, and you've got a certain amount coming in, you might be a freelancer and you get an invoice each month, then knowing what your outgoings are, then you can understand what you can pay yourself. Now, one of the biggest things that I see for business owners, just to focus on this for a second, is that they don't know what to pay themselves. So do speak to your accountant. And I know like my profit margin, so I'm able to know from what's coming in how much to pay myself, so that I don't end up, because I'd rather be paid it or pay it into my pension, right? So then you don't having like lots of money spare sitting around, which for some people is a good problem to have. But then if you're not like living your life and you're just, you know, not moving house and not doing the things you want to do, not going on holiday, then you need to know exactly how you can pay yourself more to enable those things to happen. And I had a client recently that's exactly situation, and now we're going to put, I think she's like 100, and we've got about 80-90 grand into a pension, which, so it's great, and she's been living sort of smaller means, if you like, but still I feel like, you know, we should know, if you want to pay yourself an extra 500 quid and go on holiday, then do it, kind of thing. So but slightly distraction from a business element there. So those that are non-business, or back to the personal stuff, what this enables you to do with your personal finances is that you can then start to see, okay, well, actually, how much money have I got left? So that's one way of doing it, sort of like a running total. Another way is to take all the money out as cash and buy everything in cash, which is becoming less and less popular for people to do, and less popular for systems and banks to do. So you can only really do that if you're buying diesel or buying in the shop or going direct rather than buying online. So then if you're not putting cash out and putting them into envelopes, which is like the old school way, or into jars, you can sort of physically do that with bank accounts. So you can ask your bank to open extra bank accounts and separate the money out. You just have to know, like maybe have bank cards with little stickers on saying food account and just put a little label on it. Starling Bank are quite good. They have pots. You do have to be quite strict with it. I end up like taking money out of here and putting money out of there sometimes if I feel like it. You have to be quite religious and quite strict with that, especially if it's for something. I'm quite good if it's for something, but if it's just like a general savings pot, then I end up moving things around. So week 2 is all about setting the foundation to know what's going to become going out each month, and then to be able to know when they're coming up for renewal. So what you can then do from that process is that you can then review the outgoings. So you know what they are and you know when they're due. So look at anything that's coming up there. You think, okay, where can I save some money? So buildings insurance is a good example. I recently saved, I don't know, £15 a month by changing my building insurance. I haven't looked at my car insurance in ages. And that's one of my next jobs. I think it's coming up for renew next month. So I need to look at my sheet, and I hope to save some money there. My contract on my phone comes up at the end of this month. I know I'm paying too much on my phone. I've got 2 phones. I know I'm paying too much there. And so what it does, you can start to then see, okay, well, I'm actually going to prepare and plan my time ahead to see if I can save that money. What we end up doing is we end up paying more than we need to, because we haven't necessarily had the chance or the time to review it accordingly. So that's the challenge. Now that in itself can maybe take some people, if you have never done that, could take you a few weeks just to do that. But it's about setting yourself up as best you can for this month, but then also starting to create the habits that you can carry forward into next month. So they're my top tips for this week's financial detox. If you want to read more about this and you want to know more about this, then you can. There's a whole chapter in my book, those that have got it already, just for your reference, 10 Ways to Accelerate Your Wealth, available on Amazon. 5-star reviews. You if you have got my book, please do leave me a review. I'd really appreciate it. Chapter, yeah, it's called the Money Makeover Program. So I designed this program like, I don't know, 8 years ago. And it takes you through, let me just see, number, how many steps? Not sure how many steps. I think there's four sort of core steps, and month by month. Yeah, it's great. The different exercises that you can go and do. Touches on what we've talked about today a little bit as well. So yes, if you want more of that, go and check out that chapter. Now I'm just going to have a look at your comments, see who's here. Has anyone got any questions they want to ask? I'll give you a second. Those that are on my podcast listening back, you're welcome to email me any questions, rebecca@rebeccarobertson.co.uk. If you're on YouTube, do comment. I do get notified of comments. Some of them are very random, weird comments about, all kinds of things. Ria's also put, debt literally keeps me up at night, but I made a plan to clear it for the next 12 months and therefore how much I need to earn and what I need to put in place to boost my income in my business. Amazing. Yeah, it's about knowing like if you do paint like bowling, for example, and you're not great with this stuff, and you're not going to be able to necessarily get a strike every time because you just never practiced enough, you've never been shown the right techniques, etc., then to put the little barriers up at the side, so if the ball goes flying down and it bounces bing 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 to side, you'll know you've got the right boundaries and the right structures in place. And it's a bit like that with anything in life, that if we know where we're heading, we know where we're going, we know what the objective is, we know what we're trying to achieve, then we can start to formulate a plan. And I find that a lot with my clients when it comes to their finances, is they come to me saying, I've got this money in the bank, I've earned it, or my business has earned it, or I've inherited it, or I've got it through a divorce. I don't know what to do with it. I know I want to achieve X, but I don't know how to get there. And I sort of help them plan that out basically, and quite quickly show them what they need to do. And that's what they pay me for. So they pay me for that financial advice. Some people do come to me and they've said, I've got this money. And sometimes I'm saying to them, well, what do you want to achieve with it? And they don't always know. Most do. But sometimes it's a little bit too aspirational. Like, I want to retire next year with 100 grand a year income and be financially free, but I've only got 20 quid. And that's a little bit trickier. So by what you're describing, Ria, is that you're putting yourself in the best possible position by clearing the debts down, building your confidence, and then imagine in 12 months' time how much more money you're going to have left over and left spare. But what sometimes some people do is they spend 5-10 years clearing debts and then not doing anything else because they feel like they're not worthy, not good enough, whatever. That then 10 years go by, they've cleared the debt, but they've got no other assets to show for it. And I do then believe in more of a balanced approach when it comes to investing and clearing debt. And obviously always clear the highest, most expensive debt first on credit cards. Loans, the interest is front loaded. So you would have probably paid, if you've been paying it for like 2 or 3 years, you probably paid all the interest already. Credit cards are the bane of most people's lives because they're so easily accessible. I've created a spreadsheet recently and my mobile was out of contract, and they were charging me extra data, which I didn't realise. New contract, SIM only, saving me a whooping £40 a month. That's great, Carolyn. And also, like, what would you do with that 40 quid? That's a weekly little shop. Like, that's a savings. It's then thinking about, okay, how much do I want to start carving out? So that's what I'll be talking about a little bit more about next week, a little bit more around the goals and the bigger picture. We'll definitely track my food bill moving forward. Fantastic, Carolyn. I hope today's been useful for everybody. Do let me know if you have any questions. I'm more than happy to answer them. If anything I've covered today that you're not sure about, then do shout. Now I'm going to go and do some admin. I've got a client with a couple that have got 2 pensions, and my paraplanner's put all the research for the different funds available, so I'm going to go through the data and pick the funds that I feel are relevant and make my recommendation. So I can speak to those clients probably next week now. And then I've got another client who is quite complicated. He's got a business with lump sum money in there. She's got several pensions and a workplace pension, plus she's got savings from bonuses, plus they've got a child. So I'm doing lump sum investment there. He's got a pension with a large company. I'm keeping it with that company. They're teaching their other IFA. He charges twice as much as me. And I'm switching the funds out of what's called a central investment model. And I'm doing singular multi-asset investment portfolio for them. A lot of jargon there, which, I'm happy to answer if anyone wants to know what that is. And then for her, I'm reviewing her other old pensions. So I've got to go through all that data, pick new funds for their ISAs, general investments and junior ISAs. And I'm speaking to them later this week. So that's what I'm working on this morning. And that's what I normally do in my day job. And I spend my time sitting at my desk, looking at data and talking to clients on Zoom, which I enjoy. So sending you all lots of love. Thank you for joining me, those that are live. If you're on the replay, give me a hashtag replay and let me know how you get on with this week's challenge on tracking your finances and giving yourself a bit of a detox. Take care. Sending you lots of love.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode of Accelerate Your Wealth. For further help or to connect with Rebecca directly, please head over to the website www.rebeccarobertson.co.uk, where you can find further information on our planner, book and how to further maximise your wealth. For any regulated advice, please do head over to www.evolutionfinancialplanning.co.uk.